Hello and welcome to another knitting pod. I am Lena and I'm coming to you from Boulder, Colorado. If you are returning, welcome back. If you are new here, I'm so glad you stumbled upon this podcast. I hope you are up for chatting about yarn and patterns and knitting inspiration and lots of other things. Honestly, it is June here right now. I guess it's June everywhere right now. I'm more meant it's summer here right now. And it has continued to rain a ton, but a little bit less. So it's starting to feel a little bit more summery, which is sort of a double-edged sword for me, but you know, you got to take what you can get. Anyway, how have you all been? I hope the start of the summer has been a smooth one for you wherever you are. I know for me, transitions are really challenging. It's really hard for me. I'm a very schedule-oriented person, and it can be really hard to go from like what feels like really a fixed routine of the school year, transitioning into summer where I am now possibly a professional Uber driver because I feel like all I do is drive my children around. It's insane, you guys. I mean, I know I try not to talk about life stuff at the beginning and I save it for the end because you might not be interested in my life at all and you just want to talk about fiber, which is totally understandable. But I have to say, it has just been nonstop driving for me. Luckily, Boulder is the most beautiful place you can imagine. So driving isn't so bad, but my Monday morning started, I dropped my son off and I was driving back in a rush to feed my daughter and get her to her camp. And I was just driving along the road and I hit a pothole that was more akin to a crater than a pothole and blew out 2 tires on my brand new car, which wasn't, the start to the week I was looking for. It really, really ruined my day because it felt like, it's going to be a huge cost and a huge inconvenience. And, when it's your fault, I guess sometimes that makes it easier, but when it's just random fate, it can be even more annoying, oddly. So anyway, luckily my week turned for the better. It's actually been a great week. I'm really excited to talk to you about fiber. So let's just jump right in after that strange introduction. Welcome to my podcast. Anyway, I'm not really wearing any hand. I actually am wearing one that you really can't see. This is the Contrast Racer Bra by Jessie Maed. I can lift up a little and you can see the color. It's just such a pretty color. This is Piggy Bank by Hedgehog Fibers. I made this a little bralette out of the leftovers from the Plumpy shawl I showed you guys last week. I told you that, and it was one of those colorways that I only bought because Andrea Mowry used it in her sample for Plumpy. I just thought that this just seemed like too much. I know, who am I? Too much color? I guess I'm also not really drawn to green in that way, but somehow this colorway just sings in person and turned into one of my favorite colorways. So I was really excited. That's what I love about Jessie Maed's little bralette patterns. They're like such a great way to use the leftover bits that aren't enough to make anything big, at least for me, just because I make the extra small. I probably still had yarn left over even after I made this. It's just a really fun, quick, wearable pattern. It's my go-to when I've got a precious bit of yarn left that I don't know what to do with. I make these, and because they're the Hedgehog Fibers DK weight merino base is superwash. You know what? I think everything she does is superwash, but it's just so soft and comfortable. So wearing it as a first layer against your skin really tight it's a joy. It's an absolute joy. So sorry I don't have more on. Honestly, I just have such a limited amount of time today that I wanted to just jump in front of the camera and chit chat because I've been thinking about you guys all week, to be honest. This is one of my favorite things about this podcast is I feel like I have this ongoing conversation in my head all week as things and life happen, and then I get to sit down and share with you. So anyway, what is on my needles? Again, if you watched my last episode, you know that my phone ate 2 episodes, and they are just completely gone, and I never got to share that content with you, but I've said it out loud to the camera so many times that I'm not sure what I've actually already said to you in other podcasts that you did see. So anyway, if I repeat myself, I deeply apologize because it's annoying, but what can you do? All right, the first, before I tell you about the project, this is a little project bag I made that I sewed. If you, again, have been following me, you know I've kind of been dabbling in sewing. I took 2 sewing classes at my local sewing studio, which is new, called Sobo, and I love it. I love the studio. I love the studio owner, Jordan, and I love sewing. I mean, look at this fabric, you guys. It's like another complete rabbit hole you can find yourself falling down. This is me through and through. The gold, the rose gold, the like gravender and the floral, but with the graphic background. You cannot get better than this. And it's lined, and I just was so proud of myself. This was the first thing I sewed, by myself, got a pattern, and anyway, I'm so proud of it. And inside is an almost complete shawl. This is the girl's best friend. And also, look at this. It's just so funny. I chose this fabric without thinking about this shawl at all. And when I got home, I was like, what the heck? These really are colors I'm drawn to because they're just so similar. Anyway, I thought that was really funny. This is the girl's best friend shawl designed by the very talented Isabell Kraemer. I am almost done. See, when your phone eats your podcast, it looks like you've just knit so much in such a short time. But this has been on my needles since Mother's Day. I can remember that. What was that? So I guess that's only like 3 weeks ago. Or is it a month? Something like that. This is a lot of knitting. I'm kind of pleased with myself, to be honest. And I'm pleased with myself that I was at the end of a row. Very impressive. I'm unintentionally have my life sort of together. Could it be? This is a symmetrical triangle shawl. I'm trying to get it all in the picture, even though you can't really see the bottom because it's too big. It needs to get off the needles. We start here at the top, and then it's got these beautiful stockinette bands alternating with some textured bands. There's a center like eyelet, I don't want to say ridge, eyelets column. And then you do a little contrast, and then this gorgeous textured bit. Oh my gosh, I love the way this looks so much. I had the luck of seeing this shawl in person at one of my local yarn shops, Lula Fay Fiber. Oh, how I love going there. I got to go there yesterday. So I'm just still, my heart is filled with just being there. I love it so much. But anyway, I'll talk about that later. But when I saw this sample knit up at the store, I just had fallen in love with it. So I was very excited to cast this on. So these 2 bands, they're made by, when I saw it, I couldn't tell if they were like mini cables of some sort, but they're not. They're like an increase and then you decrease, and you make these gorgeous acorn looking stitches. And ironically, to me, they look like acorns, and then this yarn colorway is called oak. I thought that just was one of those little kismety moments. I'm not gonna lie, after a while, these bits get really, tedious sounds too negative. I think it was just putting a lot of strain on my wrists because you have to knit 5 into 1 and then you have to quickly decrease. And it was just a lot of wrist motion. And I really, I think the more extraneous wrist motion you make, the more strain can happen. So especially by the longer rows in this part, I felt like I was getting more strain and I would have to take a break. And that's when I was really doing some of those sewing projects. So that was a really nice break, which is one of the reasons I really like sewing. It's like cross training for makers because you get to scratch that making itch, but you can take a break from the very repetitive kind of small muscle movements of knitting, especially when we're working like cables or an intricate pattern that requires more than just stockinette. I think sewing for me is just gonna be a gift for that. And I just think it's like a much faster paced making practice than knitting, which tends to be longer term. So anyway, we're not talking about sewing, we're talking about knitting right now. So these two bands, this band is supposed to be a lot longer, the second acorn band, but I ran out of yarn. I had some yarn left, but I wasn't sure I was gonna be able to make it to the full end of another repeat. So I just stopped because they didn't have any single skeins of this yarn at Lulafay left. This whole thing came in a kit from 6 and 7 fibers, which, you guys, if you get a chance or have any inclination to order online, please do. Her stuff is incredible. This is the Alfalfa base, which is merino and I think 10% cashmere and then 10% nylon. And I don't know if it's the cashmere, but the softness of this and the roundness of the yarn is just unbelievable. I mean, truly, truly a joy to knit with. I couldn't recommend it enough. And then look at these colors. I mean, I am usually, you guys know, drawn to really bright colors, but this color combination is so beautiful. I know it reads more fall than summer, but I just knit what I want to knit. I've totally accepted that I don't really feel like knitting summer knits right now. And this has been pure joy. I mean, really, really pure joy. I am finally at this border, which is a very simple but unbelievably to me effective contrast to the rest of the shawl. So this shawl to me gives very romantic vibes, I don't know. The only word I can think of is romantic. And what I fell in love with, which I think is, she has such an eye, because the romantic kind of vibes of the body of the shawl contrasting with that sporty ribbing, that's what I fell in love with. I think it looks incredible. It's kind of hard to make it lay flat, but it's 3x1 ribbing. And I've realized, I think 3x1 ribbing is my favorite ribbing. There's just a crispness to it where the 3 knit columns and then the 1 purl just makes the 3 knit columns pop, rather than looking like it's like forward, back, forward, back. It almost just looks like forward, forward, forward. It's like dimensional stockinette. Does that make any sense? I don't know. Sometimes I think I should stop talking. But I love it. And here's the irony of it. On Sunday, I was knitting and my kids were playing a game right here. And I was sitting on my couch, my happy place. And I was about to start the border, and I thought to myself, what if I do the smocket border from my beloved Stephen West, because of all the borders in all the lands, the smocket border is my absolute favorite. It is, I thought ahead because I want to show you. This is one of my MCAL from a few years ago. Can you see that I like color? I changed the border to the smocket border, smocket. Do you see it? It's basically ribbing that you gather, and it creates this stunning effect. Now tell me that this is not your favorite. I mean, you just can't get better than that. See, Stephen West, there's just no one like him. Anyway, we aren't talking about Stephen West right now. I was thinking, how cool would it be if I interchanged this border onto this. I thought it would be absolutely beautiful, and I still do. However, after kind of going back and forth in my head, I decided, since the border on this was one of the things I loved about it, and it's my first Isabell Kraemer shawl or anything. I've never knit anything by her. I thought, like, just let's commit and just let it turn out fully as she had visualized. And I have now done the smocket border on two. I've done the meshy twist shawl, which has another smocked border, and this one. So I thought, you don't want all your shawls to have the same vibe. So I didn't do it. However, I think it would be magical. If you are so inclined to do this shawl, but you want it to have even more of that like beautiful romantic vibe, smock it, and then do the picot border like in a contrast color like this. I mean, maybe not in Wino Forever, which is the colorway that I used, but if you did something like this and did the picot border in the oak colorway, oh my God. You better tell me if you do that, because, oh my gosh. Anyway, I have to say I've absolutely loved knitting this shawl. I think I've told you before, I've knit a lot of shawls, and then I would totally stop knitting shawls and only knitting garments and sweaters and stuff like that, just because I wanted handmade, wearable objects like that. And when I saw this and decided to cast it on, it's totally put me in a shawl mode. I don't know why. I'm just like completely drawn to shawls. And then it was so funny. I saw on Stephen West's Instagram, I think it was just was it a video or I don't remember. Anyway, he said something like he loves to knit big old blankets in the summer because then they take a long time and then they're ready by fall. And I was like, oh my God, see, we were meant to be best friends, because that's exactly how I'm feeling right now. Is yes, it's not shawl weather really, although in Boulder, in Colorado, it's sort of always shawl weather in the evening at least, or inside where the air conditioning is blasting. I just feel like making cozy things right now. I think maybe it's just wishful thinking because I love cold weather so much. But anyway, I'm in a shawl mood and I'm not sorry for it. I'm so close to being done with this baby. I have so much of this gorgeous colorway left. This is Morning Light in by 6 and 7. Look at that halo, okay? Seriously, it's so stunning. Look at that. Oh my gosh. It's just like the perfect amount of color. I can't get over it. I'm in love with this dyer. And here's the doozy. She's coming to Boulder tomorrow or Saturday to have a trunk show at Lulafe, and guess who's not going to be in town? So sad. Just so sad. But I told them to, they're going to keep the yarn that they don't sell, and I hope there's some beautiful skeins left for me, because I am not even kidding. She might be one of my new favorite dyers. She had this colorway called Turnips, and it's DK and it's a non-superwash base. I visited it again yesterday and I'm just so in love. I have to figure out something to make with it because it's so particular. I took a picture, so I'll show you. It's so unique that it has to be made into the right thing. I don't want to just buy it and then have no idea what to make with it and not buy enough when I figure it out. You know that story. That's like the life of a knitter right there. We get excited for some gorgeous colorway and then we buy it and then we're like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? Like, it's one-off skein. I don't buy one-off skeins anymore. I learned that lesson. But I don't know. I really don't know what this colorway would work up beautifully as, but I'm gonna ponder that. And I can't wait. When I get back from Vegas next week, I'm gonna go to Lulafe and see what they have. Hopefully some fun treats. If you are in town or anywhere in Colorado close by to Boulder, you should go, y'all. They're doing a big Pride celebration and some giveaways. I think Rainbow Peak Fibers is gonna be there. Again, 6 and 7, Rachel from 6 and 7 is gonna be there. it's going to be amazing. And that store is magic. It's in downtown Boulder. You can't get better. You cannot get better than that. So if you are around, I'm going to live vicariously through you. Tell me if you're going to go. Anyway, okay. So I hope to have this off the needles very soon. I can't wait. It's just like the softest thing ever, and I can't wait to wear it. Yep. Oh, and last thing, real quick, this colorway is called 3 Kisses. This is oak, like I said, and then that was morning light. I just wanted to throw that out there in case you really like those colorways. It was a kit. It was pre-matched. I wish I had an eye for making such beautiful matches. I'm working on it. I really am working on my sense of color. You know, I think sometimes we think, and I think probably there is some natural skill with people who are really good at putting color together, but I'm not one of those people. Kristen Lara from Vollenvine Yarns, incredible. The other person, I found so much inspiration in this podcast. You guys know I don't watch a ton of knitting podcasts actually, but one, if I do watch, I think is reliably great, is very, very well known. So I know all of you know her, Taylor from Wool Needles Hands, who also is a hand dyer of yarn. But she had an episode that I watched yesterday about color. She talked about, as a hand dyer, you know, needing to be able to really turn to different books for color inspiration. So she shared her, the books that give her color inspiration. Oh my God. I have them all in my Amazon queue right now. I'm not going to buy them all, but I didn't want to forget, and I want to kind of pick which one I want. And they were just very varied and inspirational and so fun, especially for me. You guys know I'm obsessed with color. It's truly like, I try to be serious and like sophisticated and knit colors like this. And I love it because I love all color, but then it's like the rainbow sparkly unicornness inside me starts bursting, and then I have to knit something crazy, which I'm about to show you. So anyway, if you are looking for some wonderful book recommendations, go check out Taylor's last podcast. She's so talented and prolific and lovely. Love her. Okay, bye. What else is on my needles? This is why I like having multiple things on my needles, is because like I was obsessed with that shawl and I was just knitting, like robo knitting, like could not stop until my hand was kind of aching, and then the rows were getting super long and it was kind of slowing down. And then I fell in love with the other thing I was on my needles and did like some robo knitting on that. Oh Lord, this thing always wants to come off. Where'd it go? Anyway, this is the Open Edge Tee by the lovely Jessie Maed Designs, which is who, I hope I said that this bralette is hers also. Anyway, I made a lot of progress, and then I completely stopped and got re-obsessed with my shawl. Oh, Lord have mercy. That is not cute, y'all. Should have given that a little stretch out this morning. It's all wrinkled and sad looking, but anywhoozleby, whatever. This is the Open Edge Tee, which is just, oh, it's so cool. It starts from it's a bottom up, which, you know, prevents its own problems, but it's just so fun because this is, you know, the thing I love about Jessie Maed, I've said this 1,000 times, but she is the master of an impactful detail while keeping everything else simple. So, you know, it's a very simple, there's a lot of stockinette that you get to do in the round, which is a joy. I love stockinette in the round, or garter stitch. I love it. Anyway, but this gorgeous yarn over detail is very, very difficult. I wish oh, here it is. Sorry. Awkward angle, y'all. Sorry. This, oh my Lord, I find this very difficult to show you guys. It's like this yarn over detail. Aha, there we go. Do you see it? So you have like this double yarn over of which you then drop, which creates these incredible elongated stitches that once this is blocked and you wear it, it's just gonna be gorgeous. It's a V-neck with eyelet detailing on the V of the neck, and then you get that same open edge detailing on the cap sleeve. I'll show you more up close this eyelet detail. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh my gosh. Again, when this is blocked, I think it's gonna be absolutely beautiful. And this is one of my favorite colorways, Purl Soho's Linen Quill in the colorway Fresh Nutmeg, which I just think is such a gorgeous color. It has like red tones in it, which just, it's very warm and beautiful. I made my ranunculus in this and I had a lot of yarn left over. And I'm gonna still have yarn left over even after this bad boy's done. So those linen quill balls, man, they are like 440 yards of fabric in them of yarn. So they are very generous for an incredible price. This is not cute. I should stop holding it up like this. Anyway, this is so fun. Like you get this very easy, soothing body for like, I did my stockinette section about 10 inches is what I've realized I like in my t-shirts. And then I started this part, and this part is simple, but fun. You know what I mean? It's like the perfect combination of engaging stitch pattern and not too challenging. Like you can do it out in the world. You don't have to be like, don't talk to me, I'm focusing. So which I really like, because I did this all kind of out at the pool while my daughter was having swim practice a couple weeks ago. I am on the other side and I just have come to a halt. I don't know why. I think I just really wanted to finish that shawl, which so close, but I will pick this up. I'll probably take this to Vegas also because it would be nice to make some progress on this. So I'm going to finish this part, then you, I believe, pick up the back stitches and stitch again in stockinette and then connect the shoulders, then cast on for the little baby sleeves, which are tiny, and it shouldn't be long. But you know, it's one of those things that you're like, oh, I can knock that off. But in this very light fingering weight yarn, this project is probably taking me a little longer than I anticipated, but that's okay. It's there is zero rush. Like I said, the weather here has been so weird. I don't know. It's just been really weird. So I don't feel like desperate to have this off the needles or anything like that. I feel like I've gotten better about that. There's been times where it's like all I want is to finish the project, to have it, the completed object. But now I don't know, I found it easier to slow down and just enjoy what I'm making and be more present than just trying to get it off the needles. And I just think there's honestly just some mindfulness that comes in there to be like, oh, wait, why am I rushing? Because, you know, we all have so many finished objects, and it's like the joy we have while we're making them, you know, that's usually where the meat of the joy is. Anyway, alrighty, nothing super exciting to see here, but hopefully that'll be off my needles soon, because I think it'll be a wonderful piece for all seasons. Like, you know, if you live somewhere cold, you know, like sometimes even under heavy jackets, you want something lighter. Or you can layer this under a heavier cardigan or anything like that. So the genius Jessie Maed, she's so wonderful. I have other things of hers that are in my queue, and yep, the queue gets longer every day. So what am I casting on next? Oh my gosh, y'all. How funny is it that I did an entire episode of all the projects that I had been calling to me and that I was deciding in between, and it turns out I didn't pick any of them for my vacation traveling. And I just think it's so silly. Sometimes that's the way the brain works. But I'm still thrilled that I got to share that episode with you, because it was really fun to go through all those patterns and show you the yarns in my stash that I thought would be appropriate for them. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that. If you didn't see it, it was the last episode. So I don't know why. I'm trying to think back to last weekend when this was happening, but I was feeling very Stephen Westy. I was feeling very like, after I knit that Soldotna crop by Caitlin Hunter, and I used those very gorgeous adult colors, you know, like the charcoal and whatever other grown-up muted colors, I think I was like trying to develop more love for those more mature, seemingly mature colors. And so that shawl has that same, muted vibe. The tea I'm making is a muted vibe. I think, you can't fight nature for very long, and what's really there is going to eventually start bubbling up over what you're trying to make be there. So I just was like, I think I might explode if I don't make something Stephen Westy, but not... I wanted something free. I wanted something like, I don't want to make a sweater right now, even though there's so many sweaters of his that I love. I'm not in the mood for shaping. I'm not in the mood for gauge swatching. I just want to be free and like play with color. So the first inclination I had was the parachute, which is a kind of, deep cut of Stephen West. I'm going to put a picture. It's like baby Stephen West. He's so cute. I could just squish him till his head pops off. But then we'd have to put his head back on because we need him to keep doing his thing. Anyway, parachute is magical, okay? It's incredible. It's all fingering weight. It's like this flowy, very, like, I think of it as like beach cover up, kind of summer vibes, kind of like what I'm wearing now, just an oversized, comfortable garment, but like an explosion of color, which is just what I was looking for. So I bought that pattern and I was like, pulled all my yarn out. But then I felt like it wasn't the kind of piece that would translate to the colder months. And I felt like I wouldn't be able to wear it as much as I wanted. And I just, again, like, I think some of the construction, I just thought I would end up, I think, like, you knit the front in one easy piece that I bet is very quick, but then the back piece, I think you have to knit while kind of picking up the side stitches to connect the front and the back. I think that's how it's made. And I kind of wasn't in the mood for that because I still haven't finished the MCAL from last year, and I'm gonna start working on that when probably like in July. And there's a lot of that, and I didn't really necessarily want to be doing that again right now. So I decided on the Painting Bricks Shawl, which I have in my Ravelry library. I've had it for a while. Long ago, 2 years ago, so not that long ago, I think it was 2 years ago, maybe it was almost 3 years ago now, but I knit the Painting Honeycombs shawl for a very dear friend of mine. And I used just every color. It was framed in, I'll put a picture actually, framed in like a cream and just an explosion of color. And y'all, I loved that shawl. I loved that shawl so much. It might have been like one of my favorite shawls ever. And I think it was the first shawl I've ever made. Knit shawl that I'd ever made. I'd crocheted things. But, and then when I found the Painting Bricks shawl, I fell in love even more because I love the border and I love the shape. I talked about this last time. After knitting lots of shawls, have realized there are certain shapes of shawls that suit me and I feel very happy and I use. And the Painting Bricks shawl is a huge, schlankety, semicircular shawl that I just love. Like the picture I'm going to put up of Stephen West holding it, it just feels like butterfly wings. It just feels exactly what I want to do right now. Just a free play with color. And I made the Painting Bricks socks and I absolutely absolutely loved them. I loved making them. I loved the way they look. And I just want to make a painting bricks shawl. And so y'all, that's all we're going to do. I am happy. Oh, just look at that. These are all leftovers from my stash of fingering weight yarn. My son and daughter have been helping me. We pulled more than this, probably 40 skeins, and 40 skeins of like leftover bits and bubbles, and some bigger than others. And then my daughter and I kind of did a couple of edits. And then this morning, my son, while he was eating breakfast very early because I had to get him to basketball, I was organizing the order of my colors and he helped me edit. And he even made my bucket for me because he's just the best child in the world. Oops, I'm trying to show you without dumping it all over the place. But as you can see, there's layers here of various yarns. But how about I start by showing you what I picked. I did buy these. This is why I went to Lula. This is the border color, so that frames all the other colors. So as much as I love color, which I'm getting, finding the perfect framing color, I think is extremely important. Because this is a big shawl, you're going to be working with these colors constantly and you want it to be perfect. And I really love this. This is High Country Wool is the brand. It's their flock base. It is 100% wool. And the reason I fell in love with this yarn is because they are based in Loveland, Colorado, which is local to me, and all their fiber is sourced locally. And you guys, that makes my heart sing. Like, there's nothing I love more than, local sheep. So, and I have, we live kind of out a bit further out and we get to see so many beautiful sheep and alpaca and all these gorgeous animals. And I love that this is, local wool. So it's 100% wool. There's nothing else in it, no nylon or anything. It's not a sock yarn. I fell in love. First of all, the feel of it is just gorgeous. It is undyed. And look at the twist on this. Can you see? I don't know if you can see the twist. It's such a beautiful twist on this yarn. Anyway, I am a huge fan of singles, but I also if there's a twist, give me a good twist. Like, put your back into the twist. This has just such a good twist. So it's the colorway, I believe it's just called Natural White. Yeah, Natural White. And then I'll just show you a couple of my favorites from this. This is a gorgeous color. It's the Purl Soho Line Weight, a scrap from that I've had for like 4 or 5 years. This is another one that I'm obsessed with, y'all. This is Undercover Otter in their Singularity base. It's called Bubblegum Crisis. Oh my gosh. How good is this? This is the one that taught me. I bought this as a single. I believe I bought this with all the yarn for this MCAL. I bought all the yarn for this MCAL from Stephen and Penelope. And because that's so far away from me and it was going to be a lot of shipping and I always feel really guilty, killing the earth via shipping. I bought as much as I could justify, and that was one of the one-off skeins I bought. But it's just such a funky colorway. It was very hard to figure out what to do with it. So it's kind of appeared in many of my projects. But it's going to appear in this one too. But I just love that colorway. It's so funky in the best way. This is Hedgehog Fibers in their sock yarn in Shiver, the base Shiver. How good is this? Oh my gosh. I just love it. What else is singing my song here? I think this is another Undercover Otter. I'm telling you, oh yes, it is. It's Slumber Party. I don't know how these things get stuck in my head, but this is Slumber Party, which is another colorway that I would love in like, I would love 10 skeins of this because I want to swathe myself in this color. This color is everything. Aiden of Undercover Otter, genius, okay? Genius. Here's another really good one. Shooty Shoot Shoot. What's it called? Hedgehog Fibers. Oh boy. It's not Banana Legs. Oh my gosh. I don't remember. That's embarrassing, being the queen of hedgehog fibers. I've used this in like 1,000 things. It's just, this is what happens when you're getting old. You forget things. Yeah, here's another hedgehog fibers. I forgot what's called. Just Pinky Swear, I think. Possibly. Anyway, just so much. Oh, another Undercover Otter. I'm telling you, Aiden's colors. Look at that. I don't remember what this is called, but I'm obsessed with this. I use that in this. You can see, oh, I'm showing you the wrong side. Hello. That's that color. Anyway, y'all, this is what I'm going to make. And I think there are 28 brick patterns from start through the border. And my goal is not to repeat any and to make a giant rainbow fade. If you know, you know. I can't help it. I need to do it. I don't care if it reads juvenile. I need to do it. And I'm jazzed as hell. I am ready. I got my Vegas yarn in order. And my husband was like, said nobody ever. But hey, I have no shame. Sure, Vegas isn't meant for knitting, but it is going to be, it's going to be Vegas knitting for me. I don't know how I'm not obviously taking all this because I'm not going to finish the whole thing. We're just going for a weekend. But I got to kind of strategize how many colors I need to take. I have the order set out. And you know what I realized this morning? It's June. It's Pride. It's Pride Month, you guys. Like, it was meant to be. My calling for color is just perfect. It's perfect. And like, there's pride flags everywhere and I just love it so much. And this will be my pride shawl. And I want a big shawl with tons of colors to just wear whenever I need a pick-me-up. Because here's the deal, you guys, color, it just affects me so much. I feel so happy when I'm surrounded with color and, you know, draped in color. So I'm just really excited. Like, I love that feeling before you start a pattern, a project where you're just like so excited. And I feel that. I feel the Stephen West rainbow sparkles in my heart. So jazz hands for that. Okay, that's all the knitting I have for you. I hope you enjoyed what's happening. I hope you enjoyed my bucket of color as much as I did. Even if you're not someone who loves to knit in color, I appreciate that, because a lot of you have told me that, and I really, really appreciate that you can still enjoy my absolute obsession with all the colors. So this is going to be a shawl that's all the colors, and I'm keeping it for myself. Anyway, okay, enough about shawls. What else is on my radar? The thing that is bringing me just infinite joy right now is the new season of Queer Eye, which is streaming on Netflix right now. Where to even begin, you guys? So here's the deal. Parenting is hard. I feel like we can all agree on the fact that parenting in 2023, especially, it's really hard. The world feels so messy, and not in a cute way, like hot mess express. It's just so difficult sometimes to find that balance with raising kids where you're not like constantly like overcorrecting them or trying to be like heavy-handed. You want to know my favorite parenting move right now? Watching Queer Eye with my children. Okay, so you'd have to be okay with some cursing and some, you know, playful innuendo sometimes, which I totally am because I'm not that kind of parent. I just don't think it matters. Like, you know, they're going to curse anyway. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that. Newsflash, your kids are going to do things. And if they see me doing them, they'll probably think they're not cool and then they won't curse. I don't know. That's my strategy. Anyway, Queer Eye is like, I don't know how to explain this. Children and teenagers, they sort of are undeveloped in natural empathy and understanding of others' perspectives and points of view. I think that's why children can be really cruel. They don't understand the weight of their words or their actions, or like how you can make fun of someone in 1984 and in 2023 they might still be reeling from that. That might like literally have made up the fabric of their being. I know of what I speak. You know, I was like so different in the place I grew up, and just that difference and that like feeling of being different had just defined me in so many ways, and, you know, good and bad. But it was a lot, you know, always to overcome. And what Queer Eye does is present the people that they deal with have suffered something really intense or are going through something intense, but the way the show presents, it presents compassion in the funny, cool way that makes you want to be the Fab Five. Like, you want to be like Jonathan Van Ness. Like, he is just like, he makes it so good. The being good and kind and generous and lifting other people up, they make it so cool and good and funny. And it's like watching my son watch this. Like, my son is a very, you know, he's an athlete. He's got everything going for him that I did not have going for me in 7th grade, in terms of like, he's cute, he's tall, he could very easily be a jerk, is what I'm saying. It could totally happen. And he's also can be snarky. And I love watching him watch this show. He absolutely loves it. And I love watching him see these people that have, you know, I'll give you a quick example. One of the episodes was, they're in New Orleans, and so it's the South. It's much more conservative. And this woman who's a lesbian just, you know, had always felt like an outsider, and listening to her talk about how impactful these things had been to her, and how she's been trying to self-protect for decades because of these words that just some random child said. Just, I feel like it breeds compassion. It breeds, wow, like, I could say something and it could really hurt someone forever. And I know no child wants that. And to see them, I'm not being very eloquent, but it's just, you gotta watch it. If you don't wanna watch it with your kids, you should watch it. It is just so good. Just get some tissue, y'all. I'm like dehydrated by the end of every episode because I can't stop crying. It's so good. And the Fab Five are just, they're the best people ever. They're funny, they're compassionate, it's the best show. You just can't get better. Like, if they ran the world would be a great place. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. So go watch that. I've kind of rambled on now, but maybe I'm ruining it, but it's just the best. I love it so much. I cannot wait to watch it. And I think there's 7 seasons, my daughter reminded me. So we should be able to race through this one and watch some backlog. It's the easiest parenting you'll ever do, y'all. And it's like ready-made conversation. Do you know what I mean? Like the first episode. Okay, last thing. I'm gonna stop talking about Queer Eye, I promise. The first episode, they went to a frat house, and I was like, really? Okay, like, no thank you. But they did, and it was so good. It was so good. This is what I mean. It was so good for my son to see them all realize, like, they need to be vulnerable emotionally. Like, I think we need to just do better by our sons and our men. I mean, we need to do better in instilling the capacity for emotion. Okay, let's try harder. I'm trying so hard with my own son to be like, feelings are to be shared. You know, you don't just have to talk about sports and girls with your friends. You can talk about real things. And I just feel like Queer Eye is doing so much more than its lightness would. It's almost like it's much deeper than, the work is much deeper than it appears, because it seems like this frivolous, frothy, fun thing, which it is totally fun. But underneath that is a deeply important message that especially our young boys need. That's my opinion, and I'm gonna stand by it, because I just see everything around me would be made better if men were not so dead inside. No offense to men, but it's just, I don't know. I think we can do better, y'all. We got to do better by our boys. So watch Queer Eye. Easiest way to get there. Okay, other show that I am absolutely loving is the Great British Bake Off Professionals. I absolutely love Great British Bake Off. Give me any show that has a like good heart. I don't want some catfighty nastiness. No, I want like to feel good. The world is crappy enough that make me feel good. And Great British Bake Off and Queer Eye, they make me feel so good. I love it. And if you want color inspo, y'all, the Professionals especially, it is just unreal, the things they make and the colors. And it's just, yeah, make sure you eat dinner first, because you'll be super wanting to eat cake. My kids like literally baked a cake one of the days after we watched Bake Off, because they're like, we can't watch that without a home-baked cake. And I was like, well, if you pop, I'll knit and you bake. And it worked out perfectly. So anyway, what else? I finished The Secret Book of Flora Lee, which was absolutely fantastic. I highly recommend it if you are looking for a summer read that is substantive but compelling and just absolutely beautifully written. I listened to it and it is beautifully narrated. I think you will love it. I think you should buy it and read it. And it's on a lot of lists. So well deserved. Sacred Book of Flora Lee. I am right now reading I have two books. The Murder of Mr. Wickham, which I am kind of meh on. It's good, but I'm like a decent way in, and I'm still not like, oh my God, I want to read it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want to read something that I just am dying to get back to. It's not that. But something that I am enjoying a lot is called What She Knew. I think that's what it's called. It's like not a murder mystery, just a mystery. And on Libro FM, it was on sale for like $4. I didn't even listen to the sample. I just bought it because that's a deal, like $3.85 or something really random like that. It's a really good book. It was like straight into the action, which I was just so keen on. I think it'll be perfect, cabana pool knitting for my Vegas trip. So I'm really excited about that. And I think that might be all. I don't think anything else was like desperate for me to tell you about. Queer Eye really was the big one that I was like, I have to. I mean, everybody knows Queer Eye, but this season is just perfect. And I think with that, I shall leave you. I don't think I have much else to say. I don't know how I ever have this much to say every week, but I do. I hope you have an incredible weekend wherever you are. Be happy, okay? Be happy. It matters that you're happy. It matters that you're not happy, that you really are joyful. And I think sometimes it's easy to think it doesn't matter, but it matters so deeply. Think about like the last time you went to like a coffee shop or something and you encountered someone that was just truly joyful. Didn't it sit with you and stay with you and just infuse your day with joy. Like every time you see a Stephen West video, don't you just feel like champagne bubbles in your heart? If we all did that, the world wouldn't be so messy and awful. Like, I don't know. I feel that really, really deeply, that like it matters that we look for joy and try to cultivate it. Like being brooding and serious doesn't make you smarter or more anything. It just makes you kind of annoying to be around. So be happy, be joyful. Don't search out the bad, search out the good, because there is a lot. Alongside all the hard stuff, there's some incredible stuff in this world, like Stephen West and Queer Eye, okay? So go soak that up this weekend, and we'll meet again for some more joyful stuff. And I'll have my Painting Bricks Shawl on the needles to show you next week, and I can't wait already. I will see you soon. Bye, my fibery friends.